Hey, this is Matt. I'm here with Natalie of Matt and Mayhem. She's joining us from New York.
Yep.
How are you this evening?
I'm good. Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So
Awesome.
let's talk about the new song, Inside Out.
Yes. Um, I wrote this song with Keith Wallen. I've written a bunch of songs with him. And this is just one of many that I'm really proud of, and I'm excited I was finally able to release it. We wrote this one a while ago, and for whatever reason, other songs kind of got released before it. And then now we're working on a new album. And as I was working on this new music, I just kept getting brought back to this song because I love the message and I just loved how the song came out. So I kind of took a pause and was like, all right, I know we're working on new stuff, but I have to release this song. And so that's kind of how it came out.
So can you tell people that don't know what the message is?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me and a lot of people I know, there are people in your lives that are always like the drama starter, right? And they're finally getting a taste of their own medicine. That person that kind of pushes you around and, you know, gives you the runaround all the time. And
Mhm.
finally there's a turning point there that switches, or that you hope switches one day. And it's kind of about that, and how the roles are reversed and they finally get a taste of their own medicine.
Awesome. Yeah, Keith's a great guy. I did an interview with him a while back. He's still doing his thing with Breaking Benjamin, but we was talking about his solo project afterwards, with Red.
Yeah.
So did you guys just write together, or does he actually play on the album at all?
Yeah, he plays guitar on the song as well, and on some of the other singles that I've done. And so it was really cool to be able to create the song with him, and then be able to have him come into the studio and actually, play the parts that were written. And since he's one of the co-writers, it really comes to life that way,
Right.
when the guy who writes it also plays it, and how that works. So it was a really cool experience. I'm really thankful and grateful that, he took the time to do that.
Yeah, yeah. He's when I talk to him, he's got a lot of irons in the fire.
Oh
So
yeah.
busy man.
Yes, very.
So have you and Keith worked together before, or was this just a new thing with you guys?
Yeah, we've written a whole bunch of songs before. A few of my previous singles, "Broken," "Cruel Heart," and "I Am More," were all co-written with Keith. In addition to this song "Inside Out" that's out now. So, yeah, I've been fortunate enough to write with him a whole bunch, and cool stuff comes out. So
Yeah, and
that's
just to
always a
let you
plus.
know, I Am More. Love that one.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was jamming that one because it was just like I want to go back a little ways and get a little more than just the new singles. So, is Madam Mayhem an actual band, or is that just you? And then you,
Yeah, it's both. So the my mom actually came up with the name when I was starting out in the rock world, because I wanted something that kind of made sense for the message that I was trying to, convey, which
Mhm.
is really being able to take control of the mayhem and the mayhem and the chaos that's like around us in the world, and kind of, living with that and being able to, rise above it. And so that's how Madam Mayhem, my name, came to be.
Mhm.
And then as I started out in the industry, I realized I really want to be in a band. And so it's both now. I'm Madam Mayhem, the band's Madam Mayhem. It's one cohesive thing.
Okay. Well, I was just curious because you talked about working with Keith, so I didn't know if maybe like some people will they'll lay everything down and then they'll have a band that plays with them out on the road or whatever.
Right. So I've done both in the past. And my band is amazing and I love them. And it's what's really cool is that um my band and I have actually been writing more together than we ever have before now for upcoming stuff. But I love collaborating. And so I could write a million songs by myself, but for some reason, for me personally, I love I guess I could say challenge, but I love the challenge of being able to work with someone else. And obviously, if you click with that other person in the room, whether you've met them before or not, you know, magic happens, and they can the other co-writer can kind of keep you in check, and you can like just kind of lay out all your ideas and feel safe to just kind of do that instead of second guessing yourself all the time and you're in the room by yourself, I feel like. So I like to write with as many people as possible, whether it's my band or other producers or other artists that I admire. I just like to do that. I think it helps keep it fresh and creative.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's kind of what it's all about anyways, is, doing what you like, doing what you love. I mean, so if, you're constantly writing with, other members of big bands or whatever, I mean, as long as you're enjoying it. And I mean, I think, I got the message of Inside Out because I really listened to that. I, enjoyed it. And I was just like, okay, I can relate to this. But I wanted other people, that haven't heard it yet to, know what it is.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. I hope people can relate.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's the next single? You got a clue on what's coming out next?
I do. It's a surprise. I wrote it with a really cool person from a band. I can't really say anything yet, but just as excited as I am about Inside Out, I'm just as excited about the next one. And what's even more exciting is more songs are coming out now. Like, so what's really cool is usually, you'll write an album and then you'll work on releasing those singles for the album. And this whole thing is a package, which albums are my favorite, but I haven't really been able to do one over the past few years. It's been a lot more singles. Just whether it was our touring schedule or life. And so what's really cool is being able to release this single now and future singles while we're still creating a full-length album right now as we speak. So it's like, just coming out of a writing session, doing interview to promote a single, and then we're still creating right now. So it's a really exciting time for the band and for myself. There are singles and songs already ready to go. And so those, as soon as I'm allowed to talk about them, I will. But at the same time, we're also hoping to get back into the studio and record more something, whether it's an EP or full-length album, as soon as possible, in addition to these awesome singles that I'm excited about to share with the world.
And I mean, a lot of people that I've talked to, that's how they've been doing it lately. They're releasing several singles before they release an EP, or they'll either release an EP and then several singles, or they'll just say, hey, you know what? I'm happy with releasing these singles and I'll worry about an album later.
Right. Exactly.
And I think in today's industry, that's kind of how you need to do it anyways. I mean, because it used to be, let's just pump out the albums, but, albums don't sell anymore. It's more of streaming and stuff. And, I mean, I can't say that I hate streaming, but I dislike it because in the way that I've talked to so many artists and they're like, streaming makes it hard, and, I feel for you guys. Cause I mean, I know that was, touring and merch and, album sales, that was all part of your income. That was all important. And now a big chunk of that has been taken away. I mean, there's still people that are cutting vinyl and whatever. And, I've got a few vinyls that I've bought recently and I love it. I mean, it takes me back to the day,
Yeah, definitely.
But
it's hard. I get it, but I also don't get it. But also at the same time, like, we're still selling some of our older CDs, whether it's at shows or on our website, where people can order it. Some of these singles aren't necessarily available, the newer stuff. Some of it's still just for streaming for now, but I think it's really cool that some fans are still wanting to have something that they can hold on to, something people can sign, something that you can have. Because I'm the same way. I love getting physical as much as I do stream. I'm not going to say I don't, but I'd rather just have the thing in my hand. You know what I mean? Yeah.
When I remember, as a teenager, I, had hundreds of tapes.
Right.
And you say tape to a kid today and they're like, what is that?
Right.
And I was actually, I went to a Saliva concert not too long ago. I interviewed those guys
Oh, cool.
And one of the bands that they was with, I don't think it was other Nights Playing It Out. They're out of Minnesota, had an actual tape. And they're like, we made a tape. We don't know what anybody's going to play it in, but we made a tape,
Right.
and people were buying them up. Cause I mean, it was, anywhere from like a, I'd say 19, 20-year-old crowd to a 35, 40 crowd, So,
Right.
I mean, it's great. It's just, I think that with vinyl, they've made record players in so many different ways. Like mine, I can connect to my Bluetooth speaker. It actually sounds better coming out of the Bluetooth speaker, but if you want to hear that old style and crackling and stuff out of the speakers that it's built into and everything, it's just great. I mean, and I agree wholeheartedly that it is better to have something to hold on to. Like, I mean, literally I bought a Saliva album. It's got all the old songs on it, nothing new, but it's still an album I can throw on my record player and be like, man, I remember when this came out.
Exactly. The nostalgia of it really helps too.
Oh yeah. So I mean, what's next for you guys? Are you going to be hitting the road anytime soon, or are you on the road?
We are going to be playing a few festivals coming up. We actually have one, not this weekend, but next weekend, Midsummer Music Fest up in Minnesota. We're going to be on the main stage July 23rd. Buck Cherry is going to be there. Any Given Sin. Those are, and some of the artists that we'll be playing with at that festival. That will be really fun. And then we have in September, we're doing the KFML radio station's end of summer bash, also in Minnesota.
Okay.
And so that will be really fun too. So those are the two that are announced and confirmed. But yes, we are working on a few more shows for hopefully for the fall or by the end of the year, to try to, because that's what I love to do the most. As much as I love writing and creating and recording music, of course, my happy place is on stage and with fellow rock and music lovers and just interacting and being able to play live, and have that energy. And so that's my favorite thing. So the more I can get out there and play, the better for my mental health and everyone around me. But we are also really very much focused on completing as many songs as possible to get and getting into the studio and staying in the studio for however long we need to this year to get, our products out. But yes, we will be playing shows along the way. So, everything will be on the website if anyone wants to check it out.
So being from New York, I mean, lots of great clubs out there. How many of those have you played, and like which one is your favorite? Just in New York.
That's hard because I've been playing here like forever, right? So it's funny because the more established as we got, the less often we got to play here at home in New York, because a lot of the national tours, for some reason that we've been on, or even the international tours or whatever it may be, not as many of them were stopping here. I don't know if it's logistic reasons with the buses and where you're going to park it or whatever it is. So whenever we get to play here now, it's even more special than when we played starting out, because, we don't get to do it that often anymore. Which we really need to change, and just to play here more, even if we're just not on the road and just go out down the street and go play. But that's hard. I think each venue is very different. I think some of even the diviest type of venues end up being the best venues. And there are some venues that I love really, really very much that actually have closed down since, like BB King's and places like that were so special. And now they're gone, and now I'm sad. And so the biggest message from that is like, everyone go support, your local venues just as much as you should support, your local artists, because that's where you're going to find them at those venues, unless those venues are gone. And then it's like, oh no. So yeah, I played so many. There's so many special ones. I mean, the Cutting Room in NYC is where they really gave me my big shot and really believed in me right away. And I got to play a full residency with them for a long time, where they just let my band keep coming back, and we kept filling the house, selling it out, whatever it may be. And some like special guest artists would come and join me. And I think that was a really special time earlier on in my career. So I would say that one really means a lot. But any show where you get to interact with people and people can relate to you, and then you can relate to them, and you can really, put on that show, I think is the best venue.
Right. Yeah, we got here in Columbus, we got quite a few of the mid-size venues. Alrosa, that one is gone, but that was
I
a
know, it's so sad.
what is it?
It's sad it's gone.
I know. And the history in that place. I mean,
I
what
know.
happened to Dimebag and everything
I
else.
actually got to play there once, only
Oh,
once, with Mushroom Head years
okay. Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, Mushroom Head played there a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's then we got one that's like an indoor outdoor. It's now Kimba Live,
Mhm.
Newport Music Hall. I'm sure you've been there or heard of that one.
Mhm.
Just those are my favorite ones to go to. I mean, I've been to Ohio Stadium and the Horseshoe and watched Pink Floyd, and I mean
Right.
Pink Floyd anywhere is awesome. So but that was pretty cool. And they did Rock on the Range at our soccer team stadium. But
Right.
I'm with you. I kind of like the more intimate, smaller crowd. I mean, yeah, it's great for you guys to have thousands of fans cheering and buying tickets and whatever, but it's also great when you're like, okay, we just did like 5 shows in a row and I just want to sit down and play in a smaller place.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it could be like 50,000 people, which has happened before at major festivals overseas, or it could be like 50 people, and we're just as happy. I mean, as long as we get to play, I don't care how many people are there. It's great when there are a lot of people because that means, you're doing something and people know about it, and people are or even if they don't know who you are and they still come, that's always cool. And then they get to discover new music. That's what I like to do with shows. If I know one band playing, I'll go early and I'll watch everybody else. But yeah, for me, it doesn't matter. I think the intimate ones, I mean, don't get me wrong, if I get booked to play on a huge festival or stadium tour, I'm going to do it. Right. But the intimate ones are cool because then also after every show, I always try to go out and I'm the one who's selling the merch and I'm the one who gets to meet everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the most fun for me besides the performing part, because then you get to, meet these people that, have been through things you've been through or can relate to the things that you've written and or just fellow rock and metal music lovers. And that's really cool to meet fellow people like that, around the world and around the country. And so I think it's really fun, especially in the intimate places, because you really get the chance to talk to everyone and meet everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd say I've actually been kind of really interested in female fronted bands recently. You know, Dorothy, I wanted to hook up with them and do an interview, was unable to. Who else was there? A band that I just did in they was in Poland, CF98.
Mhm.
They're a punk rock band, headed by a female. Butcher Babies, Lacuna Coil, Evanescence.
Yep.
It's always kind of seemed like it's a man's world in rock and roll. Women are more in like R&B or soft rock or whatever, singing sappy songs and stuff. And to see women coming out and just having all kinds of different ranges of voices. I mean, from where you Amy Lee, hell, we'll even go to like the one from Arch Enemy, Alyssa White Cruz.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really neat, and I think that um it's nice to talk to a different variety of people. It's instead of always the same old growling guy or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think the more women in rock, the better. I think, not that I don't love the guy bands. A lot of them are like brothers to me, and I grew up listening to everybody. But I always I thought it was funny, like growing up or starting out in this industry. It was like, oh, can I get on this festival? And it's like, oh no, we already have 2 girl bands. It's like, yeah, and you have 50 dude bands. What like,
Right.
but now it seems like finally that's hopefully gonna change. And I also just think it's interesting that like people try to put us all in one, but like you said, we all have different voices, we all are singing different stuff, and so
Right.
we're, even though some of it's rock and metal, like it's not all the same exact genre.
Right.
but I think it's really cool. The more females I see, whether they're the front woman or the drums or, stage managing or whatever it is, girl power, do it. That's all I'm going to say.
yeah.
But the dudes can still stay. That's fine. But like, let us come in too. That's it. Let's all just, yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, I mean, another one that I love, I can't think of her name, but the drummer from Skillet. I mean, the fact that she plays drums and sings is, I mean, that's a rare thing amongst guys in the band. And then she's just busting. I was like, oh my God,
Right.
I mean, I can't think of another word other than sexy for it,
Right.
like that's hot.
Right. Exactly.
So do you play any instruments at all or just?
Yes. Singing and vocal performance is my number one thing because I was trained classically. So I'm a singer first and foremost. However, I do play piano and I do play guitar. Now I'm not a shredder at guitar, but I can play guitar. I can write on guitar, and I do play piano and keyboards as well, very well. So
Okay.
I do it. I use it for writing, but on stage, and I have played guitar on stage in my earlier shows. And so that might come back one day. Who knows? But for those shorter sets or for those, I just love running around like a maniac and putting on a show. sometimes that just can't do it. Sometimes both. And I'm just like, and I have two guitarists in the band too. So they don't really need me right now,
Right. Well, speaking of, writing with piano, I talked to a band out of Toronto, Ascendia, last night, and him and his brother write the lyrics primarily, and his brother uses piano to do it. Cool. And then several other people I've talked to do it that way. Eddie Van Halen was one that was known for sitting down to piano and creating some of their greatest hits. Mm-hmm. So I mean, what is it about sitting there with a piano that really gets your creativity going?
I don't know. I mean, it's an instrument that I'm comfortable with, and you get to kind of just play those keys and see what fits and what doesn't. It's kind of just like a feeling that you get, I guess, that just makes it kind of flow. And I mean, hey, there have been times I sat at that piano and nothing was working, right? But sometimes it can really be your friend.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you think of like, I don't know, songwriting, you think of, a studio full of people and, or not even a studio, but like a practice area. And then a guy, strikes a chord and they're like, oh man, I'll do that again, and then you're like, okay, I can put something with that. Like I've heard, other bands that I've talked to that said, yeah, I walked in on my buddy at a practice session, and he was ripping this riff and like I came up with the lyrics in like 5 minutes, and then other ones are like, man, it took me 5 years to write this song.
Yeah, no song is the same, that's for sure. Sometimes it takes a day, an hour, sometimes it takes way longer. And there's no real reason for it either, it just kind of happens that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think whatever works best for you, I mean, it's like these interviews, man. I kind of think of like the questions I'm going to ask, and then when I get face to face, I'm like, duh,
Right.
It's not so much like a creative block. It's more of like, okay, I thought of all this stuff earlier, and then a bunch of stuff happened in between, and now here we are talking, and it's my whole format's changed.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, I admire the fact that you guys are out there kicking ass, and that you're loving what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, we do love it.
And it's just as equally important that people love what you do. And I mean, that's why when Shauna sent me your press release and I listened to the song, I was like, I think it was, what was it? Oh yeah. Right. And I said, no, oh hell yeah, with the horns. I was like, let's set up an interview.
Oh, cool.
It just she's been great. I mean, I've done so many of her artists. She's actually the one that hooked me up with Keith Wallen. I mean, it's been it's been fun. And, it's like I've told other people, I enjoy talking to musicians. I enjoy, knowing what makes you tick, what kind of emotion that you're putting in behind your music, you know, your, how interactive you are with your fans. Because to me, that's one of the most important things. Not that I'm like, you're an asshole because you won't come out and talk to your fans, but, I mean, when the ones that come out and say, hey, how was your day today? Thanks for coming. That just means a lot to people.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, I feel like sometimes I get more excited to meet fans than they are to meet me. I'm always like, oh my God, hi. And I have to like reel it in. No, because I genuinely am excited to connect with people. It's something I very much love to do. And we're all at the music venue to either perform or to enjoy. And I always like to watch the sets when I'm done too. And so I'm just in there like everybody else. And so I think it's very important. And also like we can't do what we do if people don't come out and support it. It's not possible.
Right.
Yeah. And also the music that, at least for me, that I create, it's getting my emotions and frustrations and things that I've been through out. And I can't be the only one feeling this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a different situation or the same. And so when you meet other people that either just enjoy the music, which is totally fine, you don't need to have an emotional connection, or if you do have this amazing emotional connection, that's so cool. Then you get to talk to someone about that. I love that.
Right. And that's what I was I'd say probably about 6, maybe out of the last 10 interviews I've done. They were talking about their music kind of being mental health issues, and that right there in itself can touch millions. Because I'm telling you right now, there's not a person out there that doesn't have some kind of mental health issue.
Correct.
I mean, half of America's on medication or something. So,
right.
but I mean, it's they find something that is, working for them to get it out, as well as trying to help people.
Right.
And guy I talked to last night, he was talking about how, their new song is called Denial, and the album is called Bereavement, a guide to, was it grief and loss, I think. So like the first 5 singles are the 5, stages of death. And I was like, right, that's really cool, and he was just talking about, everybody loses someone close to them or whatever. So a lot of people can relate to it. And I think that's another huge importance with music, is being able to relate to it. Yeah. Because there's some that I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna change the channel. Right. I'm probably gonna get bad comments for this or whatever, but Nirvana was one that I couldn't stand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
won't hold it against you.
Go ahead.
I won't hold it against you.
Oh, that's all right. No, I mean, my friends are like, what? And I'm just like, man, I was a hair metal guy.
That's okay.
And then grunge came along and I'm like, where'd my hair metal go?
Right. That's fair.
So, and a lot of them are making comebacks. I mean, look at the stadium tour right now. I've been reading reviews on that, and like Poison's killing it.
Yep.
And they're even talking about doing new music. So, but yeah, I mean, it just, I just not like, not blowing smoke up your ass or anything. I just tell you, I think that you're an amazing talent. I enjoyed your music, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you like it. I mean, I love that I love it, but it's even better when other people actually like it. And you're like, yay, I did my job. Right. So
right.
Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoy it.
So I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I appreciate you being on and talking to me.
Of course. Thanks for having me again.
To everybody, Inside Out is the new single from Madam Mayhem on all the platforms, right? Streaming platforms right now.
Everywhere. Yep.
All right. And, maybe after another couple singles come out, we can talk again, or, maybe we can even hook up if you guys come out to Ohio. I mean, it's only 600 something miles.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we played there before. We can always come back and play again.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you very much, and you have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Bye.